Welcome back, I'm Sean, and today we're taking a look at yet another budget smartphone in the C series of POCO's lineup and to see if it's a great entry option for you to consider. So let's check it out. So this new POCO was sent over to me by POCO for review, and this is not a sponsored post, and my review will be based on my honest and unbiased opinion. And if you're new here, please consider subscribing and ring the notification bell so you won't miss any future tech reviews. So the POCO C65 comes in two variants, which is the 6GB and 128GB storage model, which retails for $129 US, and also the 8GB RAM and 256GB storage model retailing at $149 US. So definitely in the budget price point of POCO C series of phone and not too far away from the POCO C40 that we've previously checked out. So if you're interested in buying this phone, definitely check out my links in the description below. So this phone is designed very fitting for its budget, and you can actually get pretty well built phones with POCO, but the C65's target market is for someone looking for a budget entry level phone, especially for a kid, teenager, or just someone that wants the best bang for their buck for their phone. So starting with the back panel here, you get to choose from 3 different colors including black, blue, and purple. And the first thing that I did was to pull out that serial number sticker at the back of the casing of the phone, and I noticed the plastic here actually just moves a little bit, which shows that this is actually a very thin plastic here. You're gonna get a nice smooth plastic back panel here that has a nice sheen to it when light shines on it. You can see like this. And at the top of the camera bump here, you're gonna get the standard POCO backsplash with 2 cameras and also a flash. And although you see the 50 megapixel AI camera branding at the bottom, the main camera is actually the one on the top next to the flash. And you're also gonna get a 50 megapixel 1.8 lens here, and you're also gonna get 2 lenses at the bottom here. And the top one here is actually the macro lens, which is the 2 megapixel 2.4 aperture macro lens. At the bottom is an auxiliary lens for depth detection purposes, and at the front of the phone is an 8 megapixel 2.0 aperture selfie camera. So at the side of the phone is your power button, a fingerprint reader, as well as the volume rocker, and the other side is a dual SIM tray, as well as where you can put your memory expansion, which supports up to 1 TB of storage. So at the top of the phone is also a 3.5mm headphones jack, which is a staple inclusion of all POCO's phone, and at the bottom of the phone is your Type-C charging port, as well as a speaker and a mic hole. So another thing that is missing in the box this time is a free silicone case, which comes with most POCO phones, so that's pretty disappointing. So the display here is decent, especially for the price point, and you don't get any flagship AMOLED display here like the X5 5G, but you're still gonna get a pretty large 6.74-inch LCD, a teardrop display with a resolution of 1600 by 720, so this is only a HD screen and not a full HD 1080p screen. And the good news is that you're gonna get 90Hz display here for buttery smooth operation, and this is something you need to select and enable inside the settings area. And once you've enabled 90Hz, the phone does give the illusion of being smoother as compared to the 60Hz mode, which kind of make the phone feel a little bit laggy. But do take note that this will burn through battery life slightly faster. So the phone only has a peak brightness of 450 nits, so that's quite low by today's standard. Using it indoors is fine, but when you're using it in bright outdoor sunlight, it's quite bad, since the brightest high brightness mode only goes up to 600 nits. So battery life with this phone is decent, and since you do not get an AMOLED display here, it will eat up battery slightly faster compared to its AMOLED counterpart. And I did my standard YouTube test with this phone, 5000 mAh battery, and this is what I found. So I started the test at 9 AM when the phone is fully charged at 100%. I ran YouTube full screen at max brightness and highest resolution for my test, and by 12 PM, which is 3 hours later, the battery went down to about 75%, and at the 5-hour mark at 2 PM in the afternoon, the battery went down to 48%. So around 4 PM, which is the 7-hour mark, the battery is down to 30%, and it finally died at the 11-hour mark at 8 PM. So that's almost a full day of watching YouTube on a full brightness screen, which is pretty good. So the C65 only supports 18 watts fast charging, which is pretty decent, but definitely not flagship charging speed. But the good news here is that POCO also provides you with the fast charging brick in the box itself. So you're now getting a more basic chipset, the MediaTek Helio G85 chipset, which is still an octa-core processor clocking at a max 2.0 GHz and supporting a max RAM speed of 8 GB. And you'll be surprised that comparing to the X5 5G, and this chipset actually supports 4K playback, which is a lot to say for the experience in today's world. So whether it's playing back onboard 4K videos that you've downloaded or watching videos on YouTube, full 4K resolution is supported. However, do take note that the camera doesn't take video in 4K resolution, so let's discuss about that shortly. So gaming with PUBG is decently good with no performance hiccup for the most part, and you get to run the game in the HD graphics setting, so it's considered pretty good for a budget phone that could run a pretty demanding game like PUBG on mobile phone. So storage wise, you're either going to get 128GB or 256GB of onboard storage depending on which RAM model that you get, and you can also expand it to 1TB with a micro SD card. So there is also no water resistant rating on this phone, so try not to get the phone wet if you can. Water splashes and sweat on the screen and back panel is fine, but make sure not to get the ports wet. So the phone also comes with a Bluetooth 5.1 chipset, which is pretty old school in today's world of 5.3 devices, but it still works and is mostly not a big problem since Bluetooth is backwards compatible. So the C65 comes with a 50 megapixel main camera, and although this seems really impressive on paper, but we gotta understand that phone sensors are more important than megapixel count. And I know those who are buying this will not be doing pixel peeping or being concerned about how much details you get, but anyway, let's take a look at what we have here. So the 50 megapixel sensor captures a massive image with a resolution of 8160 by 6144, which is definitely much more detailed compared to the 12 megapixel stock photo if you're not shooting in the 50 megapixel mode. However, as I really zoom into the photo here, comparing it to the iPhone 14 Pro Max 12 megapixel shot, you can see about the same level of detail that you get here. And when you compare it to the iPhone's 48 megapixel shot, you can definitely see a lot sharper images from the iPhone. So of course, these are phones in different leagues, and I understand that, but I'm just demonstrating the difference in sensor quality rather than just megapixel count. And if you take a look at the details of both of these shots, the iPhone shoots a raw photo and has a size of 76 megabytes as compared to the 8 megabytes photo on the POCO. So you definitely get a lot more detail with the iPhone. So with that said, you're still going to get really usable shots here with the 50 megapixel on the POCO, but for most day-to-day shots, I'll probably be using the 12 megapixel camera on the POCO. So you're also going to get a macro lens with this camera, and you're going to get decent shots with it, but nevertheless, it is still a 2 megapixel sensor, so details on your shots will not be all too good. So there is also no other cool lenses on this camera. There is no ultra wide lens, there's no telephoto lens here, so you'll need to survive with only 2 lenses. So you're gonna get a 2x zoom with the main photo feature, but not that this is a cropped in photo, not a physical zoom lens. So portrait mode here is also a digital effect, and the image you get is alright with the light when the lighting is good, but with most portrait mode today, it still doesn't recognize certain things correctly, especially with when the image and the background is very complex. So night mode here is decent, and it's your standard long exposure mode, but it's not the most boosted sensitivity. So comparing it to like the night mode on the iPhone, you're gonna see quite a difference here. And for videos, you're only getting a maximum resolution of 1080p at 30 frames per second for both the front and rear main cameras, so not a camera for video enthusiasts. So sound quality here is just fine, to be honest, since it only comes with a single downward firing speaker. It does feel weird to get that mono sounding feeling in today's world where you get stereo speakers on phones, and the good thing is that you're still getting that 3.5mm jack to use with your favorite headphones. So honestly, I'm surprised that in today's world you can still find phones that's priced cheaper than some earbuds or headphones do, going for 120 or 150 bucks. I honestly think that this is a pretty good option for those that want a simple, no fuss phone. So that is it for this review. If you find this video helpful, smash that thumbs up button, share this video everywhere, and if you haven't yet subscribed, do consider subscribing, and I'll see you in the next video.